In our previous lecture on microeconomic demand, we talked about how prices are important in affecting the quantity demanded, and how prices, or the quantity demanded, acts inversely to the price. Similarly, for microeconomic supply, the price is also of great importance to suppliers because the price determines profits. Price determines profits. Now we're assuming that in the short run, fixed costs stay constant and only variable costs are affected in profits. So what this means is that when prices go up, then the incentive for suppliers to supply more will increase because their profit margins will increase. And so the law of supply suggests that as price increases, the quantity supplied also increases. Now this is different to demand because consumers want the lowest price possible. And so as price increases, the quantity demanded would decrease. But for the microeconomic law of supply, as price increases, the quantity supplied by producers will increase because they can maximize their profits in this way. So supply refers to the quantity of a good or service that sellers are willing to make available at any given price. And this can be shown on the supply line. So let's look at the market for wheat again. Before we talked about the market demand for wheat, and now we were looking at the market supply of wheat. Okay, so at point A, we have a market price of $2. So the quantity supplied at that market price of $2 would be only 2,000 kilos because producers can't gain high profits from this. So at point A is here. But as the price increases to point B at $4, the quantity supplied will be 4,000 kilos. So at here, point B. And as the price even increases further to point C at $6 per kilo, suppliers will be more willing to supply wheat, and the quantity supplied in this theoretical example would be 6,000 kilos. So point C would be here. And point D, you have an $8 per kilo market price of wheat, and the quantity supplied by suppliers would be 8,000 kilos at point D here. At point E, you have a market price of $10 a kilo, and the corresponding quantity supplied will be 10,000 kilos at point E. And lastly, at point F, when the market price is $12, the quantity supplied by producers would be 12,000 kilos. Point F. And now if we join the dots similarly, in the same respect as the demand curve, we get an upwards sloping line. So this is an upwards sloping supply curve. And what this means is that it supports the initial definition of the law of supply, which is law of supply, let's denote it LOS, which is as price increase, quantity supplied also increases. And the opposite is also true. As price decreases, the quantity supplied also decreases because of profitability. Now if we take a look at let's say we start at point A. We examine at point A, and the price is only at $2, but then somehow the market price of wheat increases to $6 at point C. Right here. Here there will be an expansion in supply. And expansions in supply only occur when the price of the market price of wheat increases. It is not due to any shift in the supply curve, but it is due to a shift and increase in price. And so there is also a corresponding increase in the quantity supplied. So this is an expansion in supply. But we could also examine a contraction in supply. So if we look at point E, if we start at point E here, the price of wheat is $10. So producers are fairly willing to supply at $10 10,000 kilos of wheat because they can earn a higher profit. But assume that the price of the wheat decreases to $8 somehow. And so we move to point D, and here we can examine a contraction in supply. So as we can see, an expansion in supply is usually a movement to the right, and a contraction in supply is usually a movement to the left. So as we have point D, we have a price of $8, and now a corresponding quantity supplied of 8,000 kilos. This is because producers see that as the price decreases, therefore their profit margin would also decrease, and so they have less incentive to allocate resources to the production of wheat. So remember that producers aim to maximize profits. So this is a very important concept to understand. So producers aim to maximize profits. And this is only done by setting a price or obtaining a price which is the highest of which they can maximize their profits. So that means when the price increases, they are more likely to increase their supply. And by the same token, if the price decreases, then they are less likely to increase the supply due to profitability motives, and then they would decrease supply. And this holds with the macroeconomic law of supply, which suggests that as price increases, the quantity supplied will also increase. And similarly, if the price of a certain good or service decreases, then the quantity supplied of that good and service also decreases. So that's the macroeconomic law of supply and the concept of supply in demand and supply analysis. In the next lecture, we'll be looking at demand and supply concurrently, and we'll be working towards how the market moves to an equilibrium.